fighting.
Congratulations! You have found WrestleShoot, hosted by the Wild Thing Rob Wilds and the ladies' man Chris Casanova. Combined, we have 40 years of wrestling experience, and we're here to share those experiences, stories, and knowledge with you over the podcast airwaves. We'll be joined by friends of ours from time to time to share their stories and experiences with you as well. So climb aboard the crazy train we call WrestleShoot. We know how to do it, and we do it real well.
Don't you just love that song? Oh, Chris, it's been a Motorhead heavy day for me, man.
A Motorhead heavy day, wow.
I've been sitting at this computer, getting stuff going for work, and just blasting out the Motorhead all day long. It's been great. I even played that song twice.
Nice.
Welcome to another episode of Ghosted.
What? No. Wrong show, Rob.
Wrong show. Welcome to another episode. Uh-oh. Oh, shit. Now, see, now the executive producer's here to yell at me.
Wrong show, Rob.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. That wasn't so painful. All right. We just moved right through that one.
You get used to him coming out. He's going to tell you wrong a lot.
Shut up.
Huh?
Shut up.
What? No.
Okay. I'm Rob Wilds, the man, the myth, the legend, joined, of course, by the lovely and talented, the sexually charged, and looks really good in a woman's dress, my hedgerow life mate, Chris Casanova.
How do you know I look good in a dress?
Do we really want to get into that on the air?
Probably not.
No, probably not. Hey, who said that? Cut that last part out. Sean, cut that last part. Oh, we're live, aren't we? Shit.
We are live.
We're live.
I don't like you giving me those fucking crazy eyes. All right.
Yeah, he's like, we're live.
I know he comes on with those fucking Hulk Hogan.
He needs to wear sunglasses and take them off like that.
Beefcake Barber.
Eyes all crossed.
And that actually kind of drags us back because let's face it, Zeus was really garbage, right? He was kind of a glorified fluff guy, kind of a manager in a sense, right? So,
yeah, I guess so. I mean, he had a couple matches.
Yeah, I know. So that is what is going to take us into our topic for the day. We're going to talk about the greatest, the most passionate, powerful thought or emotion invoking managers in pro wrestling's history, in our opinion. Now, if anybody feels like maybe they want to come in and agree with us or tell us, you guys are full of shit and here's why, executive producer Sean is going to randomly throw a link right up here in the chat. You click that, you follow it in. Sean will intro you when it's time, and you're going to have 2 minutes to tell us we're right, we're wrong, or maybe just share a personal story of how these managers impacted your life.
I like it. 2 minute time limit, huh?
No, I mean, I think so, right? 2-3 minutes, maybe 5. Maybe we should go for a maximum of 5.
Yeah, unless they're just rambling on and on, then we go car crash.
And yeah. And if you want to come on and say, you know what, Rob, you're a dickhead, okay, I can take it. I got thick skin.
We may not have enough time for that.
Rob, you're a dickhead.
I hate you. That's the former executive producer of the Antisocial Network.
Oh, wow. He only lasted 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was a quick one. So.
That's what she said.
What? Who said that?
I can't believe he said that about himself, dude. That's a ballsy motherfucker right there. Anyway, let's get started, huh? I would like to make the first selection if you don't mind.
Please,
and he's going to be bottom of the list, but I always liked Gary Hart.
Oh.
Okay. Sean, show us some Gary Hart, baby. Look at that guy, dude. He was a lot of guys have tried to pull off the badass manager gimmick.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, Gary Hart's really the only one who has ever pulled off a badass.
He looks like he would kick some ass. Like,
and that's the thing. And I think that Gary Hart was actually the inspiration for that piece of shit they used to call Coach over at WWF.
the one with Perfect?
Yeah, the one Perfect.
Okay.
I think that they were trying to kind of model him so he could be a tough guy manager, but let's be honest, Coach is definitely falling into the worst of the worst category we're going to do next time.
Ooh, yeah. Well, he was a wrestler, Gary Hart, back in the day.
Yeah, but he was never a nobody wrestler. It was in management that he started really finding his fame.
That's what I'm saying. He could look like he kicks some ass. Like, he looked like he could throw down if he needed to. That's all I'm saying.
People we're going to cover today were former wrestlers. You know, they make the best managers. People who know how to bump, who know how to work. They're the best.
Sure.
So Gary Hart is my first pick. I always liked him, and we never had a chance to book him. I always tried to find him, but I could never find him.
Yeah, that would have been great. He was great with Muda.
Yeah. He was great with everybody.
Yeah.
With everybody. He knew his character. He knew his character, and he knew how to blend it with theirs, like every time, seamlessly.
Okay.
All right, Chris, pick the next one.
All right, let's see here. All right. It's not let me pick it. I am going with Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah, that's because executive producer Sean's supposed to be man of the controls there, homeboy.
Oh,
You just got to tell me what to do. I'll do it.
oh no, let's do it again.
I told you were fucking fired. Why are you still here?
All right.
Goodbye.
Oh, I'm just kidding, sweetie. Come back to us. Don't cry on your belt. It's okay.
Okay.
You're still one of us, honey. Anyway, moving on. Elizabeth. She's fucking gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
But
I got my opinion on it.
okay, after you.
So she was probably one of the first, probably one of the first female managers, but she really didn't have to do a lot. All she really did was she knew her for certain things she did. She played the scared little damsel in distress, and it worked. Like it worked perfectly. The psychology was there. It was great.
Well, you know, and she was introduced right. So that played a lot into her longevity of, you know, everybody was trying to get Randy, Bobby the Brain, and Humperdinck, and everybody was out there trying to get Macho Man. And he's like, oh, you found my new manager. Yeah, then Liz comes out and she was just smoking hot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she that was really where the longevity of Liz came from.
And then she joined the NWO, and she went from damsel in distress to badass.
Truth.
She did.
Truth, all leathered out and shit.
Yeah, and she had that feud where she was I think Hogan's manager, and against Macho Man.
Yeah.
While the NWO and Red and Black were going at it. That was pretty nasty.
Right.
Which that's when you know you've oversaturated the bejesus out of a gimmick, is when you now have different factions with the same name fighting each other.
There's too many factions, man. I don't want to get into that. That's when NWO was terrible.
And that wasn't even the only other two NWOs. There's three more reincarnations of NWO after that.
Let's not forget about the Blue World Order.
Or LWO.
LWO, see?
The Bullet Club.
Moving on. So I'll pick the next one. I am going to go with, and we're not really, I think the last few that we do, we're going to be going in order of actual greatness.
Okay.
Let's go with somebody who helped put two of the biggest wrestlers in the world really on the map, and that would be The Undertaker and Kane.
Oh.
Mr. Paul Bearer, a.k.a. Percy Pringle III.
I like Percy Pringle.
I liked him in everything that he did, man.
Yeah.
all the way back to when he ran into Global for like 3 weeks. I even liked him in Global. He was awesome
He was
because
great.
he was believable. Like everything, like what in a Global, he was wearing that big Freddie Blassie, flashy, rhinestoned out jacket. And I didn't think that would work when I first saw it, but he made it work. He can make anything work. Paul Bearer was the man.
You hear about the story about him getting signed with WF when he was pretty much out of work, and he was basically like basically had no money. His family and Vince, flew him out to Connecticut, sat him down, and this is around the same time where Taker was there,
Right.
and he had this great idea, and I can signed him right there, and Percy Pringle said, "Yeah, I can do this. I can do this gimmick," and he
Good
acted
gimmick.
out in front of Vince, and Vince is like, "You're hired."
That and another cool thing about him was he was actually in between his wrestling stints a real mortician. So he
Yeah.
had that mortician's license, which is what enabled the company to be able to buy those body bags and coffins because not just anybody can buy them. You got to have that license.
And Vince
So
saw
that's
that
something
problem.
else he brought to the table.
Yeah. Wow. Good point. Yeah.
And anybody watching, you know what? We're going to have EP Sean go ahead and throw the link up in the chat room. If you've got something you want to add, if you want to come in and say, Rob, you're wrong, Chris, you're gay, or tell your own story about anybody we've mentioned, he's going to put that chat up. You click it, come on in and challenge us. Go ahead and throw that up, Sean. Let's get some people rolling this way.
Already did it.
Oh, my man. All right.
One thing I got to add, though, with Paul Bearer, he not only put Undertaker and Kane on the map, but he helped get Mankind, Mick Foley, massive heat.
Yeah,
massive heat when he turned on Undertaker.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Thing is, Paul Bearer got everybody heat. He got Undertaker heat, and he got whoever Undertaker was working heat.
Dude, and like I think that he was the best in the ministry when he was in the Ministry of Darkness.
God, I hated that gimmick, and I love DiBiase so much, and I hated that corporate Ministry of Darkness gimmick.
I hated the corporate ministry, but I loved the ministry because it was dark, it was obscure, it was something that we didn't see and we haven't seen since.
Yeah, it was different. I liked it.
All right, well, let's move on then. Who's picking now? Is it me or you? It's you.
Yeah. Okay. This one's a tough one here. I don't think it's me in any particular order, but I am going to go with...
Because what's left is all just absolute legends.
Legends. Oh, yeah. He's a former, 5-6-time NWA champ. None other than the King, Harley Race.
Yes, Harley Race. He was brilliant at anything he did that was anywhere near a ring. If it was wrestling, Harley could do it.
Yep. And a legit badass.
So it's a favorite Harley Race memory for you?
Whew, man, there's so many.
We're talking management. We're talking management memory, not wrestling.
Okay. I'm going to go with when he was managing Vader. I love that pairing because Vader needed somebody like a Harley Race behind him.
Yep.
To do the talking, to do the bumps that needed to be done. It was great. Like just
didn't everything. He run with Sid for a minute too?
He had Sid as well. Yeah.
And my favorite Harley memories were every time you would hear him go, "Dude, punch him in the mouth," and you could tell that was a shoot.
Oh yeah.
Punch him in the mouth. He's stiff, and you could tell when the guys are getting stiff. He's like, hit him.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Flair when he was standing in Flair's corner. Hit him. Yeah. Harley was a great one. And guys, feel free to chime on in and join on in and help us keep the fucking party rolling up in here, pal.
A little fact about him though is he was supposed to actually get back to wrestling, but then his hip
went out. Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, they pitch this other idea. They're like, hey, we want you manage. He's like, okay. And
because you don't want to lose Harley.
No, they wanted to keep him, and he was a great asset.
And he's not on the list for today, but that's kind of how Vince Senior viewed Freddie Blassie, was he just didn't want to lose him, so he kept him there until the guy couldn't walk anymore.
Yeah, Freddie Blassie. I don't know too much about him, but
we'll get to that on our 50-50 show.
okay,
Yeah,
that'll be an interesting one.
So I'm going to go ahead and just randomly grab one, except for the last top 4 that we have. So the next one I'm going to grab is going to be Mr. J.J. Dillon.
Oh,
that's right, baby. I mean, look at him. J.J. Dillon was a great in-ring wrestler. He was great. He had tons of titles, but he knew to play the tough guy, but he also knew, like every other manager besides Gary Hart knew, when the baby's coming at you, you got to take a scoot. You're not going to stand there and fight the baby unless you're ready for a bump.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that J.J. Dillon is one of the epitomes of managers. You had some other guys we're going to mention later who their gimmick was much more flamboyant and real loud as a manager when he came off like he was really a businessman.
Yeah. Especially when he was at the Horsemen, I mean, he was that leader, but he really wasn't that leader. Like, okay, he was that presence. Like,
right.
We all knew Flair was the real leader, but he was definitely like on that same
thing
level.
is, he was a great mouthpiece in a sea of great mouthpieces.
Yes.
So everybody he represented knew how to talk, but they let him talk.
Right. And it worked.
So that's how good he was.
Yeah, he knew his place too. Like you said, he knew where his place in the match was.
Big bumps.
Yeah.
Big
great
bumps.
He took great bumps.
Did not care. And he was getting up there. And, it's like, you shouldn't be bumping at your age, brother. All right. Well, let's move on then. Chris, you grab the next homeboy or girl.
All right. Well, this one's going to be, you know what? I'll save that one for you.
Okay.
It's a female. You can pull that because you have some personal friendship with her.
Oh, my sweetie. My sweet, sweet Sherry.
In fact, you know what? I think you should pull her right now.
Sherry. Pull up Sherry, baby. Sensational Sherry. My sweet, sweet lady. God, I miss her. Such a fun lady. Okay, let's talk about Sherry. Everybody in the back who was heel, who Vince was looking at, maybe putting with the manager, would ask for Sherry first. Because Sherry can go out there. She could throw the heat. She could take the big bumps. She sold the story. She wasn't self-conscious. She was every fucking bit the professional wrestler. She's the one who took the belt from Moolah. And that's a big deal. She took the belt from Moolah.
Which like champ for like what, 57 years or some shit?
Yeah, 102, I think. And then Sherry comes in. And the thing is, Sherry has you screaming and she's the devil and she makes you believe it. But if you sit down with her for a minute, you love her. You love her. She was such a kind-hearted sweetheart. A fun lady to drink with, although that was her disease, and that's what ended up killing her.
She was young too, gone way before her time.
God damn! Can we put Sherry's picture up one more time? You fly to the angels, sweetheart. We fucking miss you. All right,
I loved her bumps. She took great bumps.
Great bumps, especially the atomic drops when she was wearing the gowns.
Yeah.
She would kick her feet until the gown fell down and showed her ass. Then she would get her legs together and how they're supposed to be. But they would hold her there and wait for her to gotta get this fucking dress down.
Yeah.
God damn it. God damn, Sherry was wonderful. I mean, everybody dies. But she shouldn't have been taken so soon.
Yeah. It's great that you knew her. That was awesome.
Yeah. Sweetheart. All right, Chris, go ahead.
Man,
let's make this thing a little more upbeat. I'm getting us all depressed. And by the way, people, click a link, jump in, talk some shit with us.
Let's go with. Do we have Jim Cornette on here? I think we do.
We do have Jimmy on here.
Ooh, I love Jim Cornette. Midnight Express.
Yeah.
Great. And he always took ass whippings. It was great. And he knew how to take them.
Yeah, but he didn't really bump. He just kind of fell.
Yeah.
Now,
but it
I
looked good.
think Cornette is an absolute genius. He told me once, Rob, you're the only guy I've ever met who actually physically makes my brain itch. So that was Jimmy Cornette. Heat-seeking missile, that fucking guy.
Favorite moment of Jim Cornette managing of yours?
When they locked him in the cage.
Yeah.
Yeah. That because he just sold the break-in.
Yeah.
Like genuine fucking terror.
Yeah.
I mean, like that guy was an actor. Yeah, I really enjoyed Cornette, and I would love to have a conversation with Russo and just talk about this mess that he likes to talk about Jimmy. Because look, Chris, you and I both know Mr. Jimmy, and we know that he is absolutely not going to call Vince Russo on an answering machine and threaten his family. He might call up and make some crazy hot threats to you personally, but not towards your actual family. So Russo's full of shit. And I would like to hear his newest version of that story.
We have a guest that wants to share about
We
Mr.
do.
Cornette.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Somebody took the challenge.
Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
We got
Does
Chris
he
Nelson.
hate me already? Or
We've got host of the Voice of the Voiceless podcast, Chris Milson.
Do we?
What's up, guys?
Happy damn day, Chris.
Hey, man.
Right here from the Antisocial Network.
So, super unpopular opinion. I have a really hard time separating Jim Cornette as a human being and as a managerial talent.
That's because there's really not a whole lot of separation.
More specifically, his opinion on Bray Wyatt before he passed away. I don't respect people who use other people's death to try and gain viewership after he trashed them the whole time he was alive. I don't think Jim Cornette's a good person at all.
Now, I'll go on record as saying I don't think any of us would say that Cornette is a good person.
No.
Some of the greatest in-ring performers ever were not good people. Good people.
Yeah.
And Chris, as I understand it from our conversations in the past, you actually have some thoughts about the guy I was going to bring up next anyway. Sean, let's get up a picture of Paulie.
Paulie Dangerously.
There he is. Get that terrifying bastard. God damn. Bring that up one more time for a little bit longer, Sean.
One more time.
I mean, look at this guy.
I fucking love that man.
He completely understands
the wise man.
Every single aspect of this character that he created. I have seen dudes who have been wrestling for 30 years who still don't understand their own gimmick.
I truly don't think, and obviously there is a lot of managers that could be brought into the conversation on greats. I don't think anybody tops Paul Heyman.
Really? So he's your number one?
He is my absolute number one.
We've got a lot more we're going to go through here, so we'll see if maybe somebody else might at least.
And the reason I say that is because you think of the talents that he's responsible for getting over, help bringing in. I mean, I know he wasn't solely responsible for Steve Austin, but he gave Steve Austin the platform in ECW and basically forming Stone Cold Steve Austin without calling it that.
Well, goddamn, son, I'll tell you what, Paulie Heyman gave me my break, and I sound like Jimmy Castle.
Well, that was from the promoter standpoint, though. He was a promoter then.
Yeah. Okay, so manager-wise, you got RVD. He was a great manager for RVD.
Yeah.
He was a great manager for Big Show, even though that was very short-lived. Roman Reigns, man, you got to bring up Roman Reigns. I mean, I think this is the best television the last 3 years that any wrestling company has ever had. I would put this on there with Attitude Era level greatness in terms of television.
I think it's time to let Roman Reigns go.
What's that?
I think it's time to let Roman Reigns go. That's all I'm saying. I think it's time to let Roman Reigns go.
That's the cash cow right there, brother.
Yeah, but not for long.
On top of that,
I'll help your case, Chris. I'll help your case. When he was managing Dangerous Alliance.
Yes.
Back in the early 90s. He was great.
I don't think you had to help his case. I think his case is already loud and sung, so he's in. I mean, we're all together.
And Brock Lesnar too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. The two champions that he managed held the titles the longest with the most dominant.
Well, 3 if you want to count Punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Heyman and Brock are just this pairing that cannot be topped. It's Macho and Elizabeth. It's Heenan and Mr. Perfect. It's Jimmy Hart and the Nasty Boys. It's perfect.
Absolutely. The only difference I would say with him and Roman is I don't think at the end of the day, I don't think he needs Paul Heyman at this point. But I would also say without Paul Heyman, the beginning of Roman Reigns turning heel and doing what he did in the pandemic, I mean, I think Paul Heyman is the greatest manager of all time. I don't see anybody topping him.
Okay.
Well said, sir. Well said.
All right, we have another guest. I'm gonna pull Chris out. We got another guest. We got Jerry.
Real quick before you do, bring Chris back. Chris, come back. Chris, come back. Plug your show, man, on the Anti-Social Network. What you got?
So I have my mental health podcast. It's called Voice for the Voiceless. It airs every other Tuesday. Always have psychologists on there, therapists, anybody who wants to share their story. It's on the Anti-Social Network, YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify.
Awesome, man.
At what time does that usually come on?
Usually drops at 11 a.m. Eastern time.
Beautiful. Chris, thanks for hanging out with us. We got somebody else already. Should we reveal our next choice before bringing the other guy on?
Well, so that guy dropped out. I don't know what happened.
Oh,
Anyway.
Well, you're listening. Come on back, buddy. We got you next.
Yep.
Well, then let's move on. Whose pick is it?
Okay. Is it mine? I think it is.
Maybe it should be Sean's pick.
Who do we got left?
Oh, you want me to pick?
We have got
I got
middle
one.
guy on the second row.
Yeah.
And we got the entire top row, except Sherry.
All right. Here we go.
Sweet
A
Sherry.
little bit of Jimmy Hot.
Oh,
Jimmy Hot.
sweetness. The mouth of the South.
Man, I gotta say, I love most of these other managers. I love Jimmy Hart because when I was coming up into wrestling, Jimmy managed Hogan, and Hogan, I was a Hulkamaniac as a kid, right? And I loved Hogan. I loved the essence of him. And when he was managing Hogan, and then when Hogan went to WCW, he went with him, right? Yep. Like he didn't leave Hogan high and dry. He went with him.
Yeah.
Well, are you aware that Jimmy is Hulk's actual manager?
I'm not. I didn't, but now I do.
Yeah. He's Hulk Hogan's shoot manager and has been for a really long time.
Okay.
So whatever deal he got written for Hogan over at WCW, he's like, yeah, well, you got to put me in this motherfucker too.
Okay. Well, now we know, and now we know that's good. I didn't know that, and coming from somebody that's in the business, that's cool to hear. But it's it's pretty awesome to see that he went over and he managed Hogan until Hogan joined the NWO, and I think Jimmy Hart had something to do with the NWO. I don't remember, to be honest, but Jimmy was ahead of his time. I'll just say that he was ahead of his time.
He was great.
It's that megaphone, man. That megaphone.
Yes. He actually had a band in the 60s or 70s before he got into wrestling.
with a couple of like very, very famous songs. And Jimmy also used to help produce a lot of the wrestlers' entrance musics. Honky Tonk Man, DiBiase, a lot of those guys, he was right there writing their music with them.
Yeah.
Recording their vocals and all that good stuff. And of course, let's not forget the best song Jimmy Hart ever wrote. If you only knew what I'm going to do to you, you'll be running out of here as fast as 2 feet can carry you. Come on, Chris, sing it.
I'm good, dude.
Your destiny
You keep it going.
belongs to me.
Oh, we should play that song on there.
Rob is singing. I'm backing out.
Good, get the fuck up out of here anyway.
I liked it with Heart Foundation.
Well, obviously, it was a natural fit. It was Jimmy Hart, Bret Hart, and then Jim Neidhart. It's like, shouldn't he maybe just change that to Hart?
Yeah, I should have changed it to Hart, man. But
Jim Hart, Bret Hart, Jimmy. I guess we can't have 2 Jim Harts, huh?
No, but it flowed naturally. That was my favorite time with Jimmy managing was the Hart Foundation. It worked.
All right, Chris, it looks like we have 3 left to discuss.
Okay.
And I think you're on deck.
Gosh, you know what?
Up on the top row, minus Sherry.
So we already know who her number 1 is. We're not going to talk about that, but these number 2
are difficult. I know. So we can't really. I don't think we can classify either of these next 2 as 2 or 3. I think they're both 2.
Okay, I'll go with Fuji.
Wow, man, Fuji. How many times was he? 3-time WWF Tag Team Champions.
Yeah.
He was multiple-time heavyweight champion in Japan. And he just rolled over as seamlessly as can be. A lot of guys have trouble transitioning from, bumping to managing, and not Fuji. And Fuji was a bumping machine too. And you got to love managers who could take that bump.
He may not be the best speaker, but he said enough to like get them over, get whoever he was over. Like he said just enough.
And we got somebody who sent us over a comment, said give a honorable mention to Ric Flair for when he managed, baby. Fuck that. Ric Flair was not a manager. He was all gimmick, and it was just for 2 minutes. So I'm not going to give Flair any credit as a manager. Chris, what are you going to do on that?
I agree. He might have been pretty decent as a manager, but definitely not top 10, not even top 15 or 20.
No, yeah. I mean, Flair is always a good mouthpiece for everybody, and his presence is always helpful. But that's what they were trying to. They were trying to, create this new 4 horsemen that was destined to miserably fail. You just can't. Some things you can't reproduce. You can never make Hulk Hogan again. There can never be another Demolition, right?
No.
So
Flair was not JJ. I'm sorry, but that's not what Flair was. He wasn't a JJ.
Not everybody's good at everything, but Flair was good at almost everything. I'll tell you that much, especially cheating on his wife. Hey, who said that?
Wait.
Damn it, Sean, cut that last part out.
Wait, how many, which wife?
Which one?
All of them.
I know.
He just got married, I think, yesterday or today.
Oh, so he's going to be cheating on her in 13 minutes.
Yeah. And she looks just like his ex-wife, too.
Wow.
Yeah, figures. Flair likes him young, blonde, and buxom. The titty bang bang.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Hogan. My bad.
I thought Hogan's been married.
No, he just got
The
married.
girl looks like his daughter, right?
The lady looks like his ex-wife. A mix between his
Oh,
ex-wife.
so there's a third wife now. Oh
I
shit!
guess so.
Oh damn!
I'm going to hear about that. I can't believe Flair would get married. He must be stupid. He keeps getting married and losing half of his shit every other year.
So I keeps wrestling.
Yeah. Okay, so then my choice for part 2 of number 2 is going to be the Slickster. Sorry, Sean, I put him up. I wasn't paying attention. I think Slick was fucking brilliant in that ring.
He was great.
The way he talked, just the way he would walk to the ring made you naturally hate whoever was behind him.
He reminded me of a used car salesman, how he dressed.
Yeah. And just the way he cons and everything is a work. Everything is a screw job. Slick is going to get that money. When they did the Boss Man, when Boss Man went face,
yeah,
because DiBiase was like, I paid you good money. And Slick's like, whoa. No, brother. He didn't pay us. Boss was like, he paid you and you didn't give me any of it. Brilliant. It was Slick being a big pimp daddy who's a smooth pimp talker and loves the ladies.
And he took a bump here and there when he needed to.
Yeah, but they were bad.
But it still looked kind of awkward, but it was still kind of cool looking.
Yeah, but it would look like a sloppy drunk falling out of a bar when he was on.
That's what's so funny about it.
Yeah. All right, Chris, who's our number one, sweetie?
Ooh.
Drum roll.
Do we even have to say it?
Bobby! Woo!
The greatest overall manager of all time.
So goddamn funny and vicious and brilliant. And now Bobby truly was the complete package. When he was wrestling and he was tag teamed with Gorilla Monsoon, they loved the situation where Bobby would always lose. Every match they would lose and it was Bobby's fault.
Yeah.
And that's because Bobby was like, oh, I got to look good. I got to get my shit in. He's like, fuck getting shit in. Just pay me. Let me go out there and make your guy shine. I'm all right with that. And he made everybody shine. Then when he was doing the announcement gimmick with Gorilla, almost everything out of his mouth was funny. His comedic timing was A+. Talk about Bobby, homie. Go.
Man, one of my favorite memories of him was with the Royal Rumble when Flair was in a Rumble and Piper was in there, and he goes, I guess Piper had to help out Flair, and he goes, it's a kill, it's not a dress. And then he turns back around and goes after Flair, and he goes, skirt scheme or whatever. It's a dress. It's not a kill. It's not a dress.
It's not a kill. It's a dress. I think my favorite Bobby line was when Sean threw Marty through the barbershop window and he said, look at Janetti. What a coward. He tried to dive through the window to get away from Sean. It was brilliant.
My very first memory in life involves Bobby. Or not. Yeah. I guess it would be my first memory in life. Andre and Hogan at WrestleMania, and Bobby was the manager. And so like Andre, Hogan, Bobby with the manager. So yeah, I mean like, yeah,
Bobby's the Hogan of managers. He is.
Yeah.
Sherry, God bless her, when she was, we were talking about just managing gimmicks and psychology and whatnot. She came out and told me just Bobby was so instrumental in her learning how to be a good manager on knowing, because, when you're wrestling, your psychology's got to be higher up. You've got to be higher amped than like the manager. So he taught her how to kind of bring it down because let's face it, Sherry was hell on fucking wheels in that ring, dude.
Oh, she was. Yeah.
If you were wrestling Sherry, you better come ready to work because she's there to work.
Yeah, she is 100%.
And she came from Moolah's crew, which is why.
Yeah. I'm going to throw one thing in about Paul Heyman. I know we already talked about him, but the one thing I love about Paul Heyman as a manager is he doesn't have to get involved in the match for some fuckery to happen. There's some fuckery that's being planned, and he doesn't even have to be involved in it, right? So, like for instance, when he turned on Brock and joined Roman, right? Roman came out, and Paul was like selling it like he didn't know what the fuck was happening, right? Absolutely, Chris said Heyman is the puppet master, and like he was like acting like he was shocked. Roman turned around, put his hand out to for Paul to give him the title. He gave him the title, and then they just walked out. No words needed to be said. No, nothing else needed to happen. Paul Heyman is the puppet master, and I love it.
All right. Now, guys, we've only got a few minutes left here. If anybody wants to click that link and jump in here, if Mr. Impatient wants to come back in, who couldn't wait, then come on back in, buddy. Let's end this thing strong. So, going back to Bobby, I'm going to tell a Bobby Heenan story. And this is Oh, I'm not going to tell that story. Never mind. I'm not going to tell that story. Sorry. Never mind.
What?
No.
No.
It's dirty. It's a dirty Bobby story. I'm not going to tell the dirty Bobby story.
Okay.
Yeah. But it involves a little bit of this, and a whole lot of fun.
Oh well, that was a time back then when it all went down.
That's back when it was acceptable. And the guy had that one-liner to always make you smile. Doesn't matter who you are. It could be some bullshit he had way in the back of his file cabinet, but he would pull it out and throw it on the table just because he loved to make people laugh. He loved to be on, right? He loved to be always entertaining people. Bobby was the man.
The thing I liked about one of the things I liked, many things I liked about him is like he knew where his spot was in the match or the card. Like he knew where he was supposed to be. It's like with Rude, right? Like they both could talk, but Bobby knew what to do and not to do, and he flowed with anybody. I mean, Brainbusters. I mean, hell, all these people.
The way he would beg.
Yeah, the beg. Yeah,
I love his beg. His please, please. I loved it. Bobby was the man.
Yeah, he was great, man. Great bumper too when he needed to.
Well, because Bobby was a worker.
Yeah.
But he never did a big bump.
No.
You would never see Bobby taking a backdrop. I mean, the biggest bump I think he took was that press.
We're getting a request here from Chris M. here.
He's still backstage? Come on in, Chris.
He has something to say.
I got something to say.
Yo, my bad on the Ric Flair thing. I was just thinking of random names. But one thing I wish is I wish I grew up around the time of where managers were thriving. I feel like a lot of the problem with today's wrestling, no matter what company, whether it's AEW, WWE, or Impact, I feel like there is that gigantic void of managers.
And
it's
psychology with who they have.
Right. And I just feel like everybody's too afraid to put somebody in that manager spot because I feel like some of these talents feel so entitled that they're above that manager thing. When you think of like managers, like you said, Bobby Heenan, Paul Heyman, Paul Bearer, so many guys that were so great at what they did and brought that presence about them. It's like people are so afraid to put themselves in that spot because they feel like they're not going to be appreciated enough. When I feel like there's a lot of guys and girls who can be a manager and be great at it. I mean, look at Bayley. I think Bayley is a good example of somebody I think who would be a great manager once she decides to hang the boots up. She's a great talker. She always invests in her own character and whatever work that she's doing. And then you have guys like Bobby Roode is another good example. I think he'd be a great manager too.
Sure.
He can talk. He has a presence. He has a character. But I feel like there's just that something missing from today's industry that just doesn't have managers included in any of it.
Well, let me just say this real quick about Mr. Roode. Motherfucker, you're lucky you're not in beer money anymore because me and Casanova were close to your heels for you two pussies parted ways. I mean, right?
Hey, watch your fucking language, Rob.
Hey, don't fucking tell me to watch my fucking language, cocksucker. This is the anti-social network. No censorship.
The match.
No USA notes.
That never happened.
No censorship.
Yeah, there's no way we would make it on a regular network. Like, God, if we were on TV, this show would be boring. But we're going to be on Roku. You damn right, where we can say whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, buddy.
Golly gee willikers. That's what we would say.
Oh, shucks.
Golly gee willikers.
Shucks, Chris. I can't believe you would say such a flippin' thing.
Well.
Fuck!
Who you calling a cootie queen, you ain't liquor?
Hey, don't call me a land licker, you booty sniffing rumple fart. All right, let's take this the fuck out of here, guys. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with us for another episode of WrestleShoot. We're going to come on back next week, I think, in 2 weeks, we're going to come back. And we're going to do the worst managers. And trust me, that list is huge. We're going to start off our worst managers list with Rick Michaels.
Wait, who's that?
Well, Chris, you should know because we would have never gotten over without him. Huh, Rick? Huh?
He's badass manager.